In this episode, we are going to be fixing the LA Lakers with 5 trades they need to make immediately, with the 5th trade being so crazy, it might just work. Let's start off by digging into the LA LeBrons. Wait, no, sorry, it's the LA Lucas. No, wait, LA Reeves. It's the LA Reeves. Wait, whose team is this again? I forgot, sorry, it's my bad. The LA Pelinkas. Yes, it's the LA Pelinkas. Wait, okay, sorry, wrong script. My bad. We're looking at the LA Lakers, the team that the NBA wants to succeed no matter what. But this team needs a lot of help. I mean, like, if we look at this team, there is some serious shuffling that they need to do if they want to even stay alive in the playoff hunt. In this episode, we will be rebuilding the LA Lakers with 5 trades that will turn them into a championship contender this year. Let's start off by taking a look at where they currently stand. So if we look at the Lakers, they are currently in the middle of the tough Western Conference with a negative point differential, meaning that this team is in serious risk of completely falling apart and completely falling out of the playoff picture. This team is literally one bad week from being completely out of the playoff hunt. Like, if LeBron James gets a stomach ache, or if Austin Reeves goes back to being like a normal player and not this insane superstar that we've seen this year, yeah, the Lakers are going to be in a lot of trouble. When we look at this team as a whole, the offensive rating isn't bad. It's actually pretty workable. But this is where things get really, really dark. Their defensive ranking is absolutely horrible. Like, I'm talking about like one of the worst defensive rankings in the league, worse than some teams that are outright tanking. Yeah, their defensive rating is worse than some teams that are tanking and they're trying to make the playoffs. So yeah, it's not a great sign overall. This in turn leads us to our very first trade. Now we're going to call up the very, very desperate New Orleans Pelicans and we're gonna say, hey, how you guys doing? You know who I need? Herb Jones and Yves Missy, right? So these two guys, I think, could fit into the LA Lakers lineup just literally flawlessly. You get a 3-and-D wing and you get a backup center who could basically be a more defensive and maybe even like an insurance policy if DeAndre Ayton turns out to be DeAndre Ayton, you know, because we've all seen who he's been in the past. Not great. Anyway, but you get Herb Jones again, who I think is like perfect 3-and-D guy who can fit into that lineup with your Austin Reeves, with your Luka Doncic, and give that kind of true defensive presence. Now, the issue is, how do you make the money work? I was looking at it, and here's what I think would be a really good fit. Maxi Kleber, Jake LaRavia, and Dalton Knecht. Now, the Lakers will probably have to toss in like a couple seconds. However, I think this really does help out both teams. From the Lakers side, they get a young defensive center who can be the backup to DeAndre Ayton right away. I mean, this guy rebounds, block shots, doesn't really have much of an offensive game, but again, he could be a vertical lob threat for Luka, which I think is huge. But the real piece that's really helpful in all this is Herb Jones. You get a legit 3-and-D guy who can play on the wing next to those two guys. He doesn't ask for a ton of shots. He just gets to the corner, makes his threes, gets a ton of steals, rebounds a bit as well. Kind of the perfect like plug and play guy for them. The Pelicans get an expiring contract in Maxi Kleber, but they also get 2 young guys that can come in, provide a little more depth to them. Again, help this team kind of build back up. There's nothing much going on there. They're struggling. They literally need any infusion of talent. Absolutely, like anything that's possible, they need that talent to come in. Now, the absolutely insane trade that I was thinking about, and it's not one that I'm proposing, but just when I was playing around with the salaries and stuff, could the Lakers offer someone like Rui, Vanderbilt, and Kleber for Zion Williamson? But wait, could the Lakers package their garbage for Zion? Probably not, because the Pelicans will never accept it, because if they do trade Zion, they need something that's going to fix their franchise, because their current first-round pick is, you know, over in Atlanta, about to become a top 3 pick. So, yeah, if they're going to trade Zion, they need something huge coming back. But, like, I don't know, let's be crazy here. Like, hold on to your LeBron jock straps for 2 seconds. Like, what if the Lakers included a unprotected first, or maybe a couple unprotected first? What if they just threw every pick they could possibly find at this? We also have to keep in mind that Zion is never healthy, and also hasn't proven that he is a winning player, because the Pelicans continue to suck. And I mean, I'm sorry, that's just what they are. They are just a very tough team to watch. Now, if you could then pair Zion with 2 absolutely electric playmakers, or I guess 3 because you have LeBron, but like imagine Zion just running the wing, catching lobs from Luka, Reeves, LeBron, like that would be insane. It would, in 2K, that would be an insane team. In real life, probably not, and probably would never happen, but hey, we're dreamers, right? Let's throw that out there and let's see what happens. All right, back to our actual trade we're proposing here. Again, our Yves Missy, Herb Jones for some of our contracts to go back. I think this really does help with our depth in terms of, and also brings in like those defensive players first, which can only help this team out. As I said, their defensive rating is so bad. Now, the bit of the issue is that this does kind of mess with our bench depth, so we have to find some other players to clean that up. However, I think just from a starting point, it at least cleans up one of our major issues for this team. This brings us to our second trade, which is actually going to build upon our first trade, okay? So we're putting together a couple packages here that's going to change this team. Rob Pelinka, give me a call. I'm ready. I'm hireable. Offer me the job. I'll take pennies on the dollar. You know that. Come on. So the Lakers are going to call up the Miami Heat, and we are going to make a cross-country trade. We're going to ask for Andrew Wiggins and Nikola Jovic. So, I mean, these are two pretty good players here, right? We have Jovic, who has fallen out of favor with the emergence of Ware. Wiggins, who is the perfect 3-and-D player for a contender. Now, the hardest part of this trade is how do we make the salaries work? So this is where it's going to get a bit tricky. It's going to have to be Rui, Vanderbilt, and Ayton, because that makes the money work. But this would also leave a huge gap at center. As we said before, maybe Missy isn't ready to be your full-time starting center on a serious team. Granted, having better players around him, like more some defensive wings, might actually, might help him out a bit, I guess. I don't know. That's one that scares me. The question is this enough for Wiggins and Jovic? So that's kind of the tough one for me. But I think if we look at it holistically, I think we can probably convince them to do this. And again, as I said, if we look at the Lakers in terms of picks they have available, it is pretty much nothing. The cupboard is so unbelievably bare. I think it's like a 2029 first round pick is the only pick they have available for trading. So do we need to include that to get it done? You know what? I don't think they'll be bad enough that pick will be like a top 3 pick in 2029. Could they be bad enough that it might become like a lottery pick? Maybe, but I think if we put that pick in, I think that gets that trade done. The next question though is, would the Heat actually do this? Now, I think they might, because this one gives them a ton of depth. And for a team that's being absolutely hammered by injuries, I think this is a really good consolidation trade for them. Plus, they get some expiring money in Rui, which I think is really big for them. This brings us to our third trade, which guess what? Builds on our first 2 trades. Yeah, we are rebuilding this entire team with these trades. We're going to call up the desperate and frankly terrible Charlotte Hornets. Do the Lakers need another ball in LA? The answer is a very hard no. We do not need LaMelo, okay? So we're gonna pass on that. Imagine having a lineup of imagine having a lineup of like LaMelo, Austin Reeves, Luka. That would be probably one of the funniest backcourts of all time. I don't even know what they would do. They'd all just be like running around passing it to each other, then putting up hard contested threes. Yeah, no, we don't need another ball. We do not need another ball in LA. We've seen that before. I've seen that movie. We're okay. But there is one guy in the Hornets with 1 year remaining on his deal who I think would completely change the fabric of the Lakers. And it's Colin Sexton. Now, how do we convince the Hornets to do this? Can we just put together a poo-poo platter of filler contracts and some seconds and hope for the best? I mean, honestly, maybe. It is the Hornets at the end of the day. They are such an unserious franchise that I feel like if you just offer them anything that's like an expiring contract and you put a second round pick on it, they're just gonna say, yeah, take whoever you want. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all the New Orleans, not the New Orleans Hornets. They are no longer those. They are the Charlotte Hornets. Wow. Man, I haven't thought of the New Orleans Hornets in a long time. Anyway, I digress. Until the Hornets start being a serious franchise that I can actually remember what city they are from, I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to treat you unserious, okay? So that's on you. That's on you to be a more serious franchise, and then I will treat you seriously as well. Now, this is where the trade is going to get so spicy. The trade that's going to shake up the fabric of the entire league. Okay, maybe not. It's a pretty average trade. The Hornets are going to receive Gabe Vincent, which is an $11 million expiring contract, Ochai Agbaji, a young 3-and-D wing, and Marcus Smart, an absolute culture setter, and maybe like a second or two, whatever it takes to get it across the line. But wait, doesn't Ochai Agbaji play for the Toronto Raptors? It's a great point. Let me introduce you to my 3-team trade. The Raptors are going to receive Nick Smith Jr. and Adu Tiero. I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong. The 2 young guards are going to add to the core that the Raptors are already building, and then they get off Ochai Agbaji, who honestly they don't really care to play anyway. I think he had like a DNP the other day, so he's not really like a big deal for them right now. And maybe a second goes here, a second goes there, whatever it takes to really sweeten the deal here. But the real question is, what do the Lakers get? The Lakers are going to receive Colin Sexton and Miles Plumlee. Is this the greatest center rotation of all time? No, but we can't fix all the Lakers' issues with just a few trades. We can only just put a couple bandages on it for now. Here's the thing though, Sexton will be an absolute beast off the bench for the Lakers. This is gonna give them that scoring punch that they desperately need when their big guys start to sit. Honestly, like, I think this is gonna be like, if you do these trades, this new and improved Lakers team would be so much more balanced, and I think we've actually fixed a ton of their issues very, very quickly. Our fourth trade, and this is where things are gonna start getting a little crazy, so just bear with me on this. The Lakers are going to call up Memphis, and they're gonna ask for Jaren Jackson Jr. But wait, this is gonna have to cost something big, and it will. The LA Lakers are gonna trade Austin Reeves, Maxi Kleber, and Gabe Vincent for Jaren Jackson Jr. I know, that one hurts, trading Austin Reeves. I mean, the guy's having such a good year, but I mean, if we could turn him into someone that fits better with Luka, you gotta think about it. That's all I'm saying, you gotta consider it. I'm thinking Memphis is probably gonna have to toss in a protected first as well because of this like generous salary relief that the Lakers are providing them by taking on Jaren Jackson Jr., whose contract is about to get disgusting. And like, I think you just gave Luka his big man too, which I think is like, you see what Luka does with big men. He makes them really, really good. He makes DeAndre Ayton look like an actual basketball player. That's how good Luka is. So imagine him working with like Jaren Jackson Jr., like the former Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, I know. Hey, no one wants to trade Austin Reeves, but I really think this could be the move. And the final trade, the craziest one of all, and honestly, my personal favorite one, because if this were to happen, it would be pure cinema. The Golden State Warriors are going to trade Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, for LeBron James and Bronny James. Jimmy Buckets for both the James. The dream of King James and Chef Curry finally playing together comes alive, and they're going to make the most iconic playoff push ever. Netflix is calling, and they're saying, hey, let's get cameras over there. We're going to record this. We're going to make this into a 10-part documentary. We're going to call it Chef's Kiss or King Kiss. I don't really know. It's going to be a great title. Just disregard King Kiss. That was a weird option, but how iconic would that be? And it's so crazy, it might just work. Big thing, obviously LeBron has a no trade clause, but like, whatever, just tell him to go play with Seth, he'll love it. Thank you for tuning in. Drop your comments on what crazy trades you would like to see, and we'll catch you next time.